Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by the Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
Welcome to the Blackout Show. I keep telling myself every time I do one of these that we have to change that open because everybody's gone now. We're going to do a Noah Schultz, Nicky Lopez Blackout Show open. Thanks for tuning in to this live edition, our Crosstown special edition of the Blackout Show. I'm Slavko Bekic along with Ozzy Jr., Gonzo, and Jay. As always, plenty to discuss on tonight's show. The White Sox currently up on the Cubs again early at Wrigley Field. It did not work out so well last night. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. White Sox lose game one of the Crosstown series. The bullpen blows it after the rain delay. Chris Flexen beforehand was cruising, and after that, not so much. Pedro Grifol goes to the bullpen. They fuck it up as usual. Duke Ellis makes his big league debut and his triumphant first stolen base, only to get picked off at second base like moments later. And credit to Duke for facing the media afterwards. Not easy. What did you guys take away from game one and early so far here in game two with the Sox up 5-1? Gonzo, let's start with you.
Well, for one, we always need a good rain delay for the Cubs to win something in clutch moments. Today there's no.
That's such a loser White Sox comment, man.
Today there's no severe weather on the radar, so hopefully we can tie this series up. But no, Slav, Pedro continues to irk me. Like Junior has said previously, he finds ways to push Gonzo's buttons. We all heard about Chuck Garfien talking about Duke Ellis in his podcast for forever. And we finally got to see him debut and steal a base. And then we saw the rest of that moment for him. But I like, at least we got a speedster. Hopefully he learned from his situation and we can use him and utilize that speed. And Luis Robert Jr. is back and he's still hitting bombs. So
on the prowl.
Back on the prowl.
La Pantera is on the prowl, boys. Not much better than that at the moment.
Jay?
I like the fact that these starting pitchers are getting run support. You see the White Sox scoring multiple runs in multiple innings, and we don't really need the long ball. I know Corey Jolk started it off with a bang. First pitch, boom, damn near left the ballpark, to be honest with you. But look at Lenine Sosa right now. Like, he's swinging a fucking magic wand right now, OJ. Like, everything the light touches is his. Exit velocity, 105 miles per hour on a bomb. Fucking 72 mile per hour on an RBI single on the blue. So you're getting a lot of different contributions from guys. I don't want to spoil this, but Corey Lee is one of those guys as well. So to answer your question, Swap, I love the run support the starters are getting. Yesterday, Flex Dog got it. Fetty Wap getting it this evening too.
I don't think anybody listens to this with a translator from Venezuela, but we're actually in the process of potentially considering making a move for Lenny Sosa to come play for Tiburones.
Well, by
the way, Ozzy was like joking, being very serious, because if you know Ozzy Guillen, he loves players like Duke Ellis, especially to work with them in the development of them. because his speed is special, and I'm going to talk about that because people think I know everything about the White Sox, and I don't, especially in the minor leagues. How come no one's been tweeting about this white dude that flies? Okay, you talk about Colson, you talk about Oswego Noah. I'm saying the
answer.
Yeah, please.
Because he's 26 years old.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Wait. He was 26 in AA, hitting like 250 with like a 680 something OPS. He's a non-prospect. He was a 20th round pick. If he didn't have wheels, you'd never hear his name. Now, he does have a very good tool. His ceiling is like, Billy Hamilton, Jared Dyson, was it Terrence Gore? Who was the other guy? Just faster than shit.
Joey
Tony
Gattray?
Tony Campana for the Cubs.
Joey Gattray back in the day.
I don't know. Tilson, I think, was way more of a prospect than Duke Ellis.
Absolutely.
Like Duke Ellis's only tool is his legs.
He's Joey Gattray. He's Joey Gattray. So I think so. What I liked about him, and again, I love the fact that I loved his mustache. I loved his name. I looked him up because Slav's like, oh, I did not know that the Birmingham movement was going to happen.
Project Birmingham starts with Duke Ellis.
Yeah, so I had to look him up, and then I look at the steals, and I'm like, okay, well, this guy's running. And then when I see him, I look at the highlights. It was like, okay, I don't think he looked as fast as when he took off yesterday. And when he took off, I was like, oh, okay, that's like it's a special speed. You're like, okay, this guy is just above being fast, meaning he has a chance to be, I guess in football, it's like when you're like a long snapper, you can make a big league roster because your speed. You catch the ball, and they're going to make you go pinch run, in the 8th, 9th inning because you're going to be the winning run. Okay, so that was exciting because you need prospects, meaning you need big time players, but you also need road players. So if this kid, just finds a way to stay in the big leagues and kind of be that fourth outfielder, again, his age gap, but it's exciting. You have a guy like that. And that's development, a 26-year-old, probably not a top round pick that develops and has some big league time. That's a win. But it was a good game. I don't think that this is the worst. I don't want to talk about Pedro, but the worst thing that can happen to Pedro is if the White Sox start winning, like taking leads early and then losing those leads, because it makes you look that much worse as a manager. It's better to just get rocked in the beginning and not have more than a 3-run lead. Even though your team's not the best, you're supposed to pull every move possible to hold the other team. So yesterday, he had to pull out the starting pitcher because of the rain delay. I guess you could argue he might have brought in the wrong pitcher, but again,
when all your options suck, that's really not.
Yeah, when all your options are horrible, that's the best option. So I'm not going to go there. The part where I was very surprised was once Pantera goes deep, okay, and to lose the lead after that, it was hard. And then getting picked off, at first it hurt because I thought that he was trying to take third without that being the play, meaning he was just being over aggressive. And I said, what are they teaching in Birmingham? But then once he talked and then Grifol talked about that was what was the plan for him to take second and third. I said, not his fault. He's just going there. And I can't judge when he's going to jump. I thought that he had second base. I thought he had third base stolen on the first try. Yep. And the second try, I don't even know why the guy wasn't taken, but I thought personally, again, I'm sitting in my couch at home, that he had great jumps. I never judge guys on jumps because the perspective of a guy at second base to like where I'm sitting, that's an instinct move. So I was happy that Grifol didn't throw him under the bus, that they were very open that that was the play that was going. And like Slav said, credit to the kid. He talks to the media early on and it's all positive, and then he talks to the media after the game when it's negative. And he didn't BS it. He said exactly what was on his mind. He was honest. And that's what the White Sox need. Little wins, little learning moment.
Yeah. And it was puzzling to me when after the game, they said it was the plan for him to steal base. I'm like, it's less than 2 outs. A single could score him. Like the best throwing arm you got in the outfield for the Cubs is Cody Bellinger. I mean, Say is a good athlete, but he's not throwing out Duke Ellis on a single, and definitely Ian Happen left is not throwing him out. So why do you need to take the extra base when you're technically in scoring position already with a big chip at second base? He's not. He's TV
right.
fast.
The problem is you need a base hit to score him for second.
But Corey Jokes was at the plate. Yeah.
Just think about what you just said. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I know
who's at the plate?
Corey Jokes has had a really nice start to his White Sox career, but he's
I
Corey
get it.
Jokes. Like,
Yeah,
Give him
it's
a
the
chance.
desperation.
Play baseball. You have to play baseball. Stealing third base in that situation is not
So-
baseball.
But why,
That's
if
not.
if that was the plan, why wasn't there a take sign for Yolks? Because
Here's the thing, though. We don't know.
he
We
had
don't know
third
if he had
base. I know, yeah, and that's the thing though is he had with that jump he had on that first pitch.
When's the
he had
last time
third.
Corey Yoke was out, bro? When's the last time he made an out?
What are
Like,
you
I'm pretty sure you got to give him a chance to drive that guy in from second. Like, you don't need to take
And
third
I know
base.
it's not a good feeling for Corey, for Mr. Yoltz, to when your manager puts that sign on and you're up to hit. Because I've experienced it in college baseball when your coach is like, we're gonna steal this guy with only one out because we want to make sure that somebody can drive him in. I think it was a desperate move. It's kind of like the situation the White Sox are in, and they had
Hurt me.
And here's the part though. The part that was it shows you where the Cubs' mind is at, where they knew, and the manager explained it really well. We knew the guy's number. We knew that this was the best runner to come in.
that's the problem. Everybody in the ballpark knew Duke Ellis was in there to steal second, and
that's the
probably
hardest
steal
thing.
third.
That's Slav. I used to talk to Pods about that, and if I was Duke, and I know Pods is probably going to reach out to him because that's who Pods is.
Yeah.
It's so hard when you're a base stealer, when everybody in the stadium knows that you're going to go.
And that's the only reason he got picked, because if he
Correct.
did take off the first time, he had that bag stolen. And
Correct.
I think he even acknowledged it. He's like, yeah, I kind of pump faked it, but I knew I got a good jump, and I just kind of I held back.
So
had he gone, he probably takes third.
Oh, correct. And as much as people think stealing bases is easy, when you have speed, when everybody knows you're going to run, if you're like a middle speed guy and you go more on like guys like move and like you're not the fastest guy, and that's part of your arsenal, but it's not something you do every single play. Yoan Moncada, for example, it's not as hard to steal bases when your game is like a Juan Pierre, Scott Petsenik, meaning when you get on first base, 75% of the chance more you're making a move to go to second. So that's something that's very unique and very special. And that's, I think, why Ozzy was like, let me bring him to Venezuela. I'll help develop him, because talking about trade bait, talking about guys that trade bait, if the Dodgers or any of these teams that can carry one extra guy on the roster, when you have this runner on second base rule with extra innings, having that speed, now it's a game changer, because now, so I would hope that maybe the Sox, are trying to showcase him to maybe move him if they don't think he's going to be here for the next couple of years.
I want to touch on that too, OJ. When you get into extra innings, you get guys like Clase, Mason Miller, Peter Fairbanks. Those guys are slow to the plate. So when I got a Duke Ellis on second base, and I know for a fact in his back pocket, if he wants third, he can take it. That's a weapon. But we got to we have no control, obviously. But Grafal got to make sure that he puts himself in position to where when he plays that card, he don't miss. Because the problem right now, and I'm going to just be concrete, he is a negative manager, meaning he loses more games than he should as a manager with the decisions that he makes. Like, sometimes, obviously, the roster and the talent level gets you handcuffed, but at the same time, when you get a chance to move a fucking chess piece, you cannot be getting knocked over and jumped every time as frequently as Pedro Grafal does.
I got him at 17 games. I got him at 17, and I usually have guys like 10 at the most win, or give like you helped your team win. He's at a number where, again, his record speaks for itself. I think this game, though, from a pride standpoint, I think it hurt more because, again, it was against the division, the Chicago rival, and you always want to beat them. And I said, if Pedro
series to me, by the way.
Correct, it's the most overrated series of all time. But like, I felt like if Pedro survived this, he should just.
I'd rather beat the Tigers and the Royals and the Twins and the Guardians than beat the Cubs.
Bro.
I agree.
That's just common sense. Like, to me, honestly, as a fan, after the White Sox won in 05, I did not give two shits anymore about winning the Crosstown series. If they got swept by the Cubs every single year but made the playoffs, I wouldn't care. Like, I do not care. And I'm jaded because I covered this series professionally for so many years, and it was stupid. We had to do hour-long pregame shows and extended postgame shows, and there's all this hype, and we're out at the ballpark, and it's just fucking annoying. It's just all this extra hoopla. These are two bad teams right now. This is the worst team in Major League Baseball against the second worst team over the last month in Major League Baseball. Like, it's not a good series. It's not two good teams. That's just my little.
No, and I think you've hit the nail on the head, because again, it's a rivalry, but like the series.
You people make me sick.
I'm saying the series is not only 2 games, and I'm coming from a place where Ozzy, if you wanted to be Ozzy in a bad mood, losing the Crosstown Classic, like he would get pumped for that because he knew it was a big deal to the fans. But for me, it was like, okay, if we lose or split the series versus the Cubs, but we sweep the Tigers or Cleveland or anybody in our division. Again, I was looking for the division. So I get why fans get hyped up, but I always thought that it was more important to win other games that are more meaningful. Like for the Cubs, when they play Milwaukee, that's the biggest series they have. It's their head-to-head battle. And the White Sox is everybody in the division. Again, White Sox are trying to play spoiler. That should be their motivator for the rest of the season is whose season am I going to ruin? Okay, because you have to motivate yourself, either if it's professional and like money and incentives, or if it's like, I'm just going to be that team that's going to go out there and ruin somebody's chances. Because I said this,
but
in the American League Central, the team that plays the worst against the White Sox is not going to win the division. Whoever dominates the White Sox is winning the American League Central.
So look,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, like, I understand that you guys don't care about the Crosstown Classic in regards to what it means to the White Sox. I don't care about that. Like, obviously we do, we got to beat the people in our division, but I interact with too many Cubs fans. I don't want them to have that leverage over me.
You interact with too many internet people, period.
I need to stop.
No, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I once put a joke up.
It's a big deal for the fans.
I don't want Cubs fans to have that hanging over my head. I can't allow it.
I went viral about 8 years ago, a long time ago, when the Cubs were like in the top of like the best team the Cubs have ever had. And it was like a game after Jake Arrieta, and I sent a picture to a friend on Facebook. Like, it wasn't even on a Cubs chat. I sent a picture to a friend who's a diehard Cubs fan, like one of those guys is just obnoxious. And it was like a picture of Jake when he was with the Orioles and a picture of Jake when he was like with the Cubs. And I put a question mark. That's it.
Oh, I remember this.
I remember that.
And people went like nuts. And that's, again, that's the energy. And I think Slav and I might be in just the small group of people, because I know the front office for the White Sox, they care. The Cubs might not care.
Especially now, that's all they got.
That's all they got. So they care. They're looking over there and saying, this could have been a big series. This is something, because I can talk about Ozzy's era. In the years that they weren't the best team, the series was that bigger of a deal. The years that they were really good, the series wasn't that meaningful because they had other things to focus about.
That Nick Swisher bomb against the Cubs will.
Yeah, but now and then there's guys that get pumped, like guys like AJ love play. And again, you're getting playoff atmosphere. And I like it from a development standpoint, because you get to see guys that shine. You know, Lenny Sosa had a great game, because you're not playing your typical Tuesday night game in front of 10,000 people versus just a random team in the National League. So I get it.
All-time high energy broadcast calls, like thanks Cubs, like Benetti and big time energy.
By the way, so do you get credit when you pronounce the name perfectly?
Yeah. You people make me sick.
By the way, he pronounced the name amazingly. So we're gonna. He said it. He said it. Adios. Adios.
He said adios. Good.
Adios.
I was saying. He said like Pantera.
And he
I'm not gonna lie. This is.
I love it.
It was one of his better calls. It was one of his better calls, to his credit.
It was, but here's the part. It's funny because I've never, and Slav, you went. That's your profession. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. As a fan now, it's in my head. Every time he makes a call or said something, it's not second nature. I'm trying to listen more. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm judging more, even if it's positive or negative. He has that effect now. Like, I'm listening to, let's see what he's going to say. Like, I'm hoping like, ooh, a home run here would be really good, just to see what he's going to say, just in general.
I'm curious if he gets, I think you nailed it. Like, to the average fan, it just doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound smooth. It's almost like before the game, he's like, oh, if Luis Robert hits a home run, I'm going to say, back on the prowl. Like, it's just not natural broadcasting. And it comes off like he's an amateur, like he doesn't know baseball that well. And I don't know. Like,
it gives what
I'll
it
give
is.
credit. Last night that was a good high energy call. It fit the moment. You know, Crosstown series, Pantera with the home run. It's his first game back. Like, I get that. That made sense. But like, come on. We ain't taking that no matter how many L's we got. Like, fuck you, dude. I hope Tommy Pham comes up into the booth and punches you.
By the way, again, Tommy could have fought Willie if he wanted to. He could have fought him, and then he was doing shadow boxing. Probably the most cringy. There's been a lot of cringy White Sox moments. The last one that was like that was when Tony ran to argue. Remember who got hit? Abreu.
Abreu, yeah.
And Tony ran, and I was like, oh, I was so cringy. And there's been cringy moments, like either funny and that whole
was
series.
cringier than the Tim Anderson versus.
Oh hell yeah! Because Tim wasn't cringy. Tim was just like, like we're gonna go at it. I respected Tim for squaring up. I'm very judgmental of why Tim, and I hope I can ask him one day why he switched to southpaw. Like, but Tim was just like I wasn't shocked about Tim. I give Tim respect because you knew that there was some animosity, and comparing that to like what had happened in New York, I was like, that's it. Finally, Tim, just do it. And when you fight, you either win or you lose. So I don't hold it against Tim Anderson for standing up for himself. That's what you do. I respect Tim Anderson more for getting KO'd than somebody shadow boxing in left field. And then when you look at the replay, I respect guys like AJ Brzezinski because Chase Utley. I'm going to maybe throw my dad in there. Aaron Rowan. Guys that played the game hard. Some people might consider it a little bit borderline dirtier than other players. AJ would just do what he had to do and just run to the dugout. He never argued or try to make something of it. Everybody knows what I'm doing. So if Tommy's going to take the line, like you're going to go on the grass and you're going to go look for contact with the catcher, you got to bang play, and then you look at him and say, hey, man, I'm trying to score. I'm trying to win, and it's a respectful thing. You can't go inside the grass, go look for the catcher, and then look at the catcher like, dude, what are you blocking the play for? Like, we all know that you're looking for contact. And again, that's the only part I didn't like about it. And I respect Tommy. I'm sure that he does, fighting, and he should put Pantera, actually, if he's taking off-season fighting classes, because we've seen Pantera. We've seen Pantera with the gloves, not the best. But
TikTok.
That's the only reason I had a problem with it, was because it was like more dramatic than it should have been. It should have been a bang play. It's over. The third base coach shouldn't have sent you. But again, another desperate play in a desperate time. And I just thought about when he got up,
threw Rodriguez under the bus too. He's like,
oh hell yeah, he said I should have never
out by a mile. Third base coach
I was
sent
out
me.
by a mile.
Do what I gotta do.
I was scared when he slid that he might get hurt, because that's probably one of the easiest places to get hurt in baseball, just because it's
O'Neal Cruz.
I'm saying it's just two grown men, colliding at the plate. That's why we have the rule now. And Tommy's one of those guys
inside
that
the baseline too.
Yeah, if he gets hurt, you're not bringing one or two players to the future of the Sox. So I'm sure Chris Getz was like holding his breath in that specific play. And I want to ask you guys something. This is the first thought I had in the Crosstown Classic in that moment. When I saw Hector Neris get named the closer, I was like, wait, who's your closer? Neris is your closer. Philadelphia Neris, been bouncing around. And I said, would the Cubs ever be open to asking for Michael Kopech back? Because now I have him on the list as a place where him or one of the Sox bullpen guys, again, if anybody's kind of, started pitching better and can be a closer, again, Michael Kopech is that guy right now. That becomes a new place for him to be able to land.
If you're a contender, which the Cubs think that they are, is Michael Kopech good enough to be your closer? Like, I feel like that's a guy that you try to get on the cheap.
You don't think so? You don't trust him more than Neris? You don't think so right now?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'd rather have Kopech over Neris. But, I mean, like, if you're trying to win a division or, be a playoff contender, like, is Michael Kopech the guy that you really want closing out your games? Like,
yeah, he's not Chapman. They're not making a move for Chapman in 16. But the places, because I only think he gets moved to a contender. I don't think anybody's going to move for Michael unless they think they have a chance. So there's a list of teams which kind of got smaller, because a lot of the teams he would kind of be that eighth inning guy and support. And I thought it was going to be the Padres for a long time, and now the Padres have that that 8 and 9 combination.
But even if it's high leverage, it's still a value arm to have.
Correct. But I thought the Cubs. if Hector Neris, and again, the only reason I don't like him, even though he's from my homeland, is because I've had him in fantasy, and he's cost me so many games that I was like, oh, this is your best option. Like, this is the guy who you guys have closing. So I was like, oh, a place where Michael, he's a place where the Sox usually don't make moves, but in previous years we've seen big moves being made between the two front offices. So is it a move that they can get a body or somebody from the Cubs? And the Cubs, when you look at the minor league system, they have a couple guys that they can give up because they can't move up to the big leagues because they're blocked by guys that have signed for a couple of years. So it was just interesting of like, they could probably use a closer, and we have Michael.
I wonder if a team like the Rockies would look at Kopech and say, we can try to give him one more shot as a starter.
Oh, well, you have to, because again,
what would you want in return?
A prospect.
Prospect.
What else
Somebody.
do you want? Yeah, you're not going to get a major. Maybe you get like a fringe kind of
a shortstop,
infielder,
Jordan Beck.
Yeah,
a shortstop,
infielder that I don't know, like
a shortstop.
I don't know the Rockies well enough, but I'm just thinking as a team who could use some pitching and isn't a competitor, like maybe they take a flyer on a guy like that and say, all right, we trust our pitching coach or our analytics and blah blah blah, and like the White Sox fucked him up. Let's see if we can give him one more shot as a starter.
Slav, you're onto something, because Ronaldo Lopez, and again, to Ronaldo Lopez's credit, his bounce back started with the White Sox. This whole thing that people think that when he got traded, it all clicked. He's been pitching well for a while, not as a starter, but he made that move, and the Braves were like, and again, that's where analytics and people in other front offices, that's where you add value as a front office leader, when you can find a guy like that and convert him. A Tampa Bay, a Rockies, like, hey, we have this guy, we have this gem where the White Sox think they can use him this way. We can actually make him a starter. Let's see where they failed. I guess the White Sox, the closest thing I could compare it to was when Matt Thornton was with the Mariners and Jose Contreras with the Yankees. The Yankees had given up on Contreras. The Mariners had given up on Thornton. At that time, it wasn't analytics, but it was Kenny and Don Cooper.
I thought Thornton was traded for Borchard.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Matt Thornton came to the Sox.
Yeah.
It was like they thought that they were getting a huge guy in Borchard. The Sox had given up, but Seattle was like, this guy was supposed to be amazing, and the Sox were like, I'm talking about the talks leading to that. They were like, we can fix. Like Don Cooper was like, I can fix this guy.
Cooper will fix him. That was and
the same thing with Jose Contreras. Ozzy was like, all he has as a problem is tipping. And I remember in that beginning of that 04 season, the front office, Coop, Kenny and the people that were involved at that time, they would look at his starts and see if it was a tipping situation. And they got to the point where they were like, we think that we can fix this guy. We're going to lose Loaiza. Let's try to make a move for a guy that we're going to get something in return. And then we fix him. If not, well, whatever. We kind of just tried. But they went in. I guess now you can call it analytics. Then it was, looking at the glove and Mike Gellinger, who was probably one of the greatest minds when it comes to tipping and whatnot. And as soon as Contreras got to the team, they sat him down and said, hey man, this is what you're doing. And they started building on that. So that's where the Sox, again, that's where other teams are looking to make those moves. And that's where the Sox, again, when the Sox make moves, that's where they can need to find and really do that scouting and not just take prospects because they're on the top, 100 list. They really need to say, hey, I'll take this guy over this guy because I really believe in him. That's a true front office. You just can't trade because a guy's got a number next to him and says, oh, he's number 5, so I'm going to take, him because he has a number.
So speaking of trades, go ahead, Gonzo.
I was going to say whether for pitching prospects, whether it's Fetty or Kopech, I can see Atlanta, Houston, and probably
Houston's
Arlington.
Desperate right now.
Even the Texas Rangers, I think that's another one. Between those three teams, they can definitely go and grab an arm. And Fetty, and for me, Fetty and Kopech I would definitely trade them if I get the right package put together.
I would trade Noah.
Like a 99.8% chance of getting traded.
I would trade Noah Schultz.
You would trade him to Cleveland.
I would trade.
I was gonna say, like,
if he goes to Cleveland. By the way, if he goes to Cleveland, we're talking multiple Cy Youngs.
You guys were talking about pitchers that got traded and got fixed. Look at Wade Davis going from Tampa Bay to Kansas City. Like, he went from being a starter, Kansas City lessened his volume, upped his velocity. Like, those are the little tweaks you could do. In Boston with Nick Pivetta, like he was a hybrid opener. Now he's a traditional starter again. He tweaked curveball sweeper. Like you could manipulate your repertoire. You could play with your velocity. But to you guys' point, you got to get with the right organization to direct you in the right direction. Because
Andrew Miller's another one of those names.
Absolutely. Dylan Betances, too, another hybrid reliever that was supposed to be a starter when he got signed. And he had to, transform throughout his career. Like, you got to get with the right organization.
So
El Duque, too.
The White Sox trying to turn double plays, and it's been a struggle in this inning. It's 5-2 Sox right now in the 5th inning. Gavin Sheets just got, in the previous event,
hey, he had
runners on first and second, and he just he didn't know what the hell to do. Like, Nicky Lopez makes a play at second, and Gavin Sheets took him 47 hours to get over to first base.
Gavin's like, no, I'm just new here.
By the way, I just found out Patrick Wisdom was still in Major League Baseball yesterday. I had no clue he was still in the Cubs. And I saw they recalled David Bodie recently. Like, what
He's
are
still
these
with
guys
them?
still sticking around?
Yeah, I haven't heard David Bodie name in like 2 years.
That was a top prospect name. I'm not.
This is such a common misconception. I'll never forget when David Bodie got called up the first time, and Cubs fans started just coming all over themselves. This guy had he was Duke Ellis, but without the speed. He had like a 680 OPS in minor league baseball. He was a short, fat dude who couldn't hit, and they called him up to play third, and he had like 2 big home runs, and everyone was like, "Yeah, starting
David
third
Bodie.
baseman." And yeah, he's not very good.
It happens. But I was surprised though.
Herbert Perry is better than David Bodie.
Oh wow,
The milkman.
the milkman. Yes,
That's true. Let's look up the numbers.
let's look up his stats. Oh no, the stats.
Oh, no, not
There's just certain guys that you don't want to
Not
be.
the numbers.
And again, that's where you have to see where people talk about like the prospects and where they're at and age, and again, coming up to the big leagues, the nature of the game, and we've talked about it a lot. It changes so much. So it's going to take, some time to adapt. But the White Sox right now,
Herbert Perry, 55 career home runs, 529 games, career OPS of 771, 96 OPS plus. David Bodie, 386 games, 36 career homers, 708 OPS, 89 OPS plus. Herbert Perry had a 22 home run, 70 RBI season with the Rangers in 2002.
wow, that's like a Daniel Palka.
He played 132 games that year, 22
Wow.
and 77 with an 813 OPS.
Betty just balked. Oh my God, bro! I'm about
No
to.
fucking
So,
way.
so here's the part, like the way the game is going right now, and I have it on my iPad. This is where your manager and coaching staff and the leadership need to get out there and say, hey guys, we have to lead. Like you cannot. There's
Look
no
at his stupid fucking face. They cut Tigger full in the dugout.
That's what I'm saying, though. You can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't. It's like when you're playing in any sport. You can't just say, "Oh, wow, here we go. It's gonna go so bad," because that's what you're feeling on the field. You're looking at the scoreboard and saying, "Oh crap, here we go again." And that's when you're trying to build that culture of like breaking that. Of like when they talk about guys that come in like leadership. That's when you tell guys like, "Hey guys, like let's take it one out at a time." Like that's when you really go out there and you coach. And that's. I know Oakland Athletics play in a different time zone, but if you look at the Oakland Athletics, when they play the games, yeah, they lose and they don't have a positive record, but you rarely see them when they take the lead. They take the lead. They don't give it back a lot. Like when they get beat, it's because they get beat. Mark Kotze and that staff finds a way to keep the team in the game.
Defense. They have an
like,
identity.
Correct. Like we're going to grind you out. Like we're going to figure you out. But like right now, if you have a 5-run lead, and I'm talking about what Chris Getz has to feel in front office. If you have a 5-run lead and you're like, oh, like you don't feel safe with a 5-run lead.
That's sick.
I'm saying your gap of player in big league baseball, 5 runs is a lot. Like you can, if you don't believe me, look at FanDuel. If a team takes a 5-run lead, the odds just jump crazy. When you look at the White Sox take a 5-run lead, they give the other team like a
auto bet on the opposite
auto
team.
bet. No, correct. But you can see the difference in the odds of like when the Sox take a lead compared to like other teams. And again, they probably have the best algorithm. You're like, man, these people like are really dogging the White Sox on that comeback. So I really feel like those are little things when if we're really going to judge the manager and the coaches, it's like, okay, I know that you don't have the talent, but what are you doing to get them better to kind of develop and kind of keep you in the game of doing the little things. And that's where it worries me when they're talking about bringing up prospects and having guys be at the big league level, because yes, they have to develop. And I've said that a million times, but those are the things that your coaches have to tell you. So last night, somebody went up to Duke Ellis. I think it was a player. It didn't look like a coach because he looked too young. Did Pedro walk up to Duke Ellis and said, "You're good"? Like, not just talking in the media, just making sure that the rookie is good. Like his teammates saying, "Hey, dude, you got."
We asked you to do, yeah.
That's where I think that leadership there. That's when you build that culture of letting those guys know, like, "Hey, we got your back. It's okay. Like we win as a team, we lose as a team. Like, go get him tomorrow, and not let him sit there and soak by himself." And because again, it's hard. Like even your first 3 years of the big leagues is not easy. And guys I consider still guys like Andrew Vaughn that are still, getting their feet wet. And that's when I think coaching goes beyond the numbers. And are they doing this? And when I second guess if you're doing that, that's concerning.
So real quick to wrap this up on Crosstown and Grifol, seeing some of the quotes pregame today, this is the first time I really feel like Grifol's legitimately potentially on the hot seat. Like we've known for a while, like, all right, it's his first year. He sucked last year. They sucked this year. He's probably not going anywhere. This is the first time where I feel like he's now openly kind of like fighting for himself and defending himself to the media. Like, I'm a baseball man. I'm proud of, what I've done and what I've accomplished or what I know. And I'm not worried about X, Y, Z. Like, that's the sign of a guy who's worried about X, Y, Z. And this series is the first time I feel like, okay, we might be getting to the point where, like, if the stretch continues and they blow games or whatever, it might get ugly for Grifol here quick. Now, it doesn't mean I don't know what happens. Like,
we've already
really
had a player revolt,
right?
Slav.
Well, I think Mike Matheny's getting talked to. I think Chris Getz has him very high on his list. So I think that to Grifol's.
You want to talk about mismanaging a bullpen? Mike Matheny knows how to do that.
Oh yeah, we know that, but I'm saying, like, I feel like it's not good for Grifol because usually in the middle of a season, if you're a first-year GM, you might try someone just to convince you that he's the guy, or kind of get a feel for like the type of manager you're looking for. So you're like, what a type of manager like a Grifol kind of profile would look like. So you might go for somebody else in the middle of the year, kind of just like give you more experience with different people to work with before you go out there and interview. Even though every GM, I believe, has a manager, like a fantasy manager in their head. Like if I'm ever a big league GM, I have a staff, and I've never been close to being a big league GM. You just have like a magical list of, if I'm a GM, this guy's my bench coach. That's just something that you do in the game. So I believe that that's the only thing that it's working against Pedro. And I'm going to be honest, I know that we've been really hard on Pedro, and I was looking at his life, like career-wise, and I'm starting to understand him more because Pedro probably made $60,000, maybe 70 in his previous roles. So so does Pedro, because I saw somebody tweet about it, that he was a 10-year veteran of being a bench coach. And I was like, why? People are so wrong. Pedro Grifol got brought to the big leagues as an assistant hitting coach, and George Brett quit after like 2 months. And he said, I'm going home. I'm George Brett. Pedro gets the job, and then he loses the job to Dale Swade. And then Dale Swade is the hitting coach when they win the championships, and they're like the Kansas City Royals. He gets demoted to bullpen, catcher instructor, which is basically they just have to give you a title, and then catcher instructor for the next. You basically throw practice, and you are, you're there. You're like the translator, catcher instructor. And then a couple years go by. So catcher instructor, I don't care how much of a genius they think you are, he's not even legally. So there's a rule of like how many guys you can give service time to in the big leagues. So when you look up coaching staffs, like in Baseball Reference, they only give you so many coaches in the staff. Even though there might have been people there, they just don't get credit. So like Mansu Lee was like the last guy on our staff that got it. So you have to have like one bullpen catcher. So it's always like Major League Baseball has opened it more now, but 10, 20 years ago, it was like only 5 guys, the legit coaches. And he was in that role for a long time. Then in 2018, the quality control role gets created, and they say, hey, Pedro, this is perfect for you. And that's when he finally lands on the staff in 18. So let's say he gets a bump. He doesn't get the full-time bench coaching job till the COVID year. So he has a COVID short season and then 2 years with Matheny where they lost, 100 plus games, and then he gets a big league job. So as a bench coach for Kansas City, I'm going to say $100,000, and I think I'm going on the high end because they're not a team like the Yankees that pay a lot. So this guy went, and I'm talking about me personally. If I go from making $100,000 to making $1 million, 1.1, which is usually like what managers make now, I'm going to be kissing all the booty.
Hell yeah.
All the
And he better be investing all that money because it's going to keep coming very long.
And now he's managing.
He's not getting a second contract?
No, but I'm saying, though, now he's managing for his other job because now, at least with a bench, now he can go be a bench coach and maybe go back to like that 150. But from like a financial standpoint, and it's really sucky to compare them to this, he's not like a guy who's a former player who made millions of dollars, who like Joe Madden, who coached, 12 years in the big league level, where you've been kind of accumulating that money. When you make that jump from like $100,000 to $1 million, now I feel like he's finally realizing that he might be losing that sooner than he thought. And now it's why he's like saying those things like today, like selling himself. Like, I'm interviewing for everybody out there. Like, hey, I'm so good. I'm still not the guy. And it's the same thing, him and what's the manager's name in Miami that everyone thinks is a genius?
Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, he's not a genius this year. They're releasing guys making $24 million.
The GM stripped that team, bro.
Okay, Schumacher had one good year. I'm going on the Daniel Palka. He's a genius, but he's not Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin is the guy who's been in the big leagues for 22 years.
Bob Melvin still got Luis Arias. Skip Schumacher don't.
I know. By the way, Bob Melvin has as many rings as Skip Schumacher. Bob Melvin's the most overrated manager in Major League Baseball when it comes to wins and losses. So I'm talking about money-wise. He's trying to, Pedro, even though you're not winning, you're trying to give yourself a career of longevity. I'm talking about this is true for Ozzy too. When Ozzy got the job, he wasn't like, I'm going to win the World Series in 2005. It's like, I want to do a good job so the Sox keep me, so I have more chances to win. And if the Sox don't keep me, I can go somewhere else and be a manager elsewhere. And that's why when he came to the Sox, it was like, okay, why are you interviewing me? He knew he was going to be the manager of the Marlins eventually if once Jack McKeon retired. So he was in a really nice spot, and why Joe Espada never took another job, because he knew that the Houston job was his. So when you're a manager, it's kind of like a president's race. Like, you have like a 4-year to like a second term, 8 years. Anything over 8 years, you're like in a special group of like a very small percentage. So your money making years. So what you do is you do a great job and then land yourself like as a consultant, like most presidents do, of like, you get an honorary job of like Gene Lamont with Jim Leland, where you get to be the bench coach for the next 10 years because you were a big league manager. So it's like, you go, you do it, and then you've had success. You're not the guy, but you're making $100K plus, and every single time you're going to get hired, you're like, oh, we have to pay this guy more because he was a former big league manager. Now you have 2 big league guys on staff. So I can totally understand.
I'd love to know what Charlie Montoya thinks of Pedro Grifol.
Oh, really? What he thinks?
I
think Charlie Montoya is probably one of the nicest human beings in the history of the world, because he has never showed him up. The day that, and this is why I think about Charlie, the day that they let that guy Tozar, whoever the hell he is, I don't even know what he's coaching now, do the press conference after the game when Pedro was kicked out of the game, and they didn't let Charlie do it, and you didn't hear any rumors about Charlie throwing him under the bus or any argument or anything, I said, bless Charlie's heart, because I would have been saying, I'm better than this guy. Why am I not getting the shot? And I think
you're
Pedro,
a clubhouse cancer, Junior.
What?
You're a clubhouse cancer.
I am. By the way, you're gonna tell me.
He said I am.
I'm saying, though, think about it, guys. Charlie got fired from Toronto when they were doing pretty decent. So from a success standpoint, he's actually better than Skippy on paper.
That's true.
Yeah.
Look it up. If he writes a book, he might be Mike Matheny. If he writes a book, he might be Mike Matheny
or Doug Peterson.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, we're looking at managers. So Charlie was not fired like he lost 150 games and got canned. He got fired because they couldn't take it to the next level. There was allegedly some problems within like the chemistry of the team, but he wasn't fired because he lost 100 games. Yeah, he got fired because of differences in front office thinking. he's kind of like a Rick Renteria, which he's another guy that I think that Ricky did not have as many wins, but I'm surprised he's never landed somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because when he got fired, he didn't get fired like on a, oh my God, we just lost 100 games. He got fired like on the top. Like he only got
right. The team was ascendant.
Oh, I think the team was going up. I don't think he managed that series like he was, the greatest manager of all time. But he got that team to a pretty good point.
He had
and
Nick
he also
Magical.
managed them a serious choke job after down the stretch because they were the first ones in the division to clinch a playoff spot, and then they ended up in the wild card.
Correct. But I'm saying I'm surprised that no one has had him. Maybe he doesn't want to work. That's fine. But I'm surprised he hasn't gotten like another team or more considerations from other guys. The whole thing with first year managers, it sounds super sexy, but it's always very dangerous. Managing a baseball team, it's a lot harder than people think. That it's just going in there, putting the uniform on, and just doing it.
All right, so we
alluded.
God damn it, Gonzo! Go.
I got one last statement to Crosstown. Please, for the love of God, don't leave Gavin Sheets in right field deep into the ball game for defensive purposes. That's all.
Leave him.
Just leave him on the field. Period. Late in games, defense.
Put him in center.
He said, period.
He made a really nice catch in right field last night, but also terrifying.
Put him in center.
Confidence.
Put him in center.
God. All right, so Ken Rosenthal reporting recently that the San Diego Padres are pursuing actively and aggressively, I think was the words he used, Garrett Crochet. I don't know that any one of us, if we were sitting here 4 months ago as pitchers and catchers were getting ready to report in Arizona, that we'd be sitting here saying Garrett Crochet is as good as he is as a starting pitcher, number 2 in Major League Baseball in strikeouts with a sub-4 ERA. He's been impressive and then some. John Morosi was on MLB Network today and basically said, there's no surprises left between these two organizations. They spent all of spring training negotiating the Dylan Cease trade. My question to you guys is, should the White Sox trade Garrett Crochet? And if so, should they trade him to the Padres?
No, I don't think they should trade him at all, because at a certain point when the dust settles, at the end of next year going into, let's just say 2025, 2026, who's going to be here? I don't want Noah Schultz to be in a rotation by himself. I don't want Jairo Iriarte trying to carry Jairo Iriarte to carry some innings, without nobody ahead of him. Like, those guys are gonna have to be top in rotation guys for a team that won't be very good. That's gonna stall their development. That's gonna kill their numbers. Like, it's gonna suck. So I want Garrett Crochet to be at least at the forefront of that. You see the benefit of having heads to the snake with having just Fetty in the rotation. I know Mike Clevenger wasn't that good, but you're gonna need these guys to eat innings ahead of the young pups that you got coming up. I just don't want Noah Schultz and Jairo in a situation to be the guys that got to be the focal point of the rotation at the infancy of their career. Trading Crochet definitely puts them in that bracket.
Yeah, so the first question, I don't believe they should trade him at all unless you flat out get overblown with the trade package, which could happen. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade him. He's 24 years old. You put a lot of resources in that first round pick to develop him. When did he turn 25?
He turned 25 on.
While you're looking for 24. That, when's his 25th birthday? June 21st. Okay.
2 weeks. He turns 25.
He's 25.
So he turns 25 in 2024. If this window is, let's just say 27, 28-ish. Let's just say it opens up then. He's still 28, 29.
Window.
He's baby big right
now. Wherever you believe, whenever you believe this team will be competitive, he's still in the prime of his career.
What? Two more years of arbitration, so 2 more years of team control, including. So that's the rest of this season plus 25 and 26 before he becomes a free agent. That's obviously very enticing to teams. The same reason they got so much for Jose Quintana, because of team control and the affordability. That's number one. Number two, what everyone else is going to throw back at you if you are the White Sox and you're Chris Getz and you say, I want your number 1, number 4, and number 12 prospects. Okay, Garrett Crochet is really good. Can he do it over a full season? And then can he do it again next season? He's already had 2 major surgeries at 24 years old. So that's the problem, I think. Unless you get blown away, like you said, Gonzo, I agree with you. I just don't know, where do the White Sox view Garrett Crochet and where do other teams view Garrett Crochet? Because if there's a big gap between those two, you're not going to find a trade regardless of what either team thinks.
Well,
if you ask Gonzo, he's a Cy Young candidate.
I just want to say this to Slavsko's point. Crochet's health is a big concern. Tampa Bay got another talented lefty named Shane McClanahan, right? Same injury history, same situation, except he's had a larger body of work than Garrett Crochet. That's another guy that you probably won't get enough value for if you want to move him because of the injury history. Garrett Crochet doesn't have a lot of mileage on his arm right now. So other GMs would be skeptical making a move like that. Let's just say they're in a pennant race or they're in a position to where they want Garrett Crochet to be the lead stallion in their carriage. Like, there's a lot of question marks there.
Nobody's trading him for him to be their ace, though. Like, nobody's going to sit there and be like, oh, we're getting Crochet, he's going to be our number 1 pitcher. A team like Houston would go after him because they just are desperate for good pitching right now, period.
Who's the best pitcher on the Houston Astros right now?
I don't know. Who still has a fucking ligament in their elbow?
Yeah, I'm saying they have Justin Verlander right now, who just gave up 3 bombs to whoever they're playing. You got to think there's no more Lance McCullers, no more Jose Urquidy. Framber Valdez is inconsistent. Christian Javier is on the shelf. If you're the Houston Astros and you make a move for Garrett Crochet, this is something that you believe there's going to be concrete, because the future of everybody else in your rotation is murky at best.
Yeah,
okay, so
the only
could I answer the
Houston's
second part?
only a fit because of need right now. Like, if you're a contender, you trade for Garrett Crochet because you want a really good number 3 or number 4 with a high ceiling. Like, you're not.
Who's the number 1? Who's the number 1 in San Diego?
Well, right now or when they're healthy?
I mean, but
because again, the only reason we're having this conversation in June 5th is because they have 2 pitchers on the shelf too.
They will never be healthy because the 2 pitchers that are on the shelf are always on the shelf.
But here's the thing, though, guys, and you guys are worrying about too much about what other teams are thinking, and what matters is what the White Sox are thinking. Okay, you have Bannister.
The White Sox thinking?
Yes, the White Sox. Jay, the White Sox are thinking. Why? Because they have this picture that they've been floating around that is the next Atlanta Braves staff that's in Double-A, okay? Who has
the next 2005 White Sox.
The next 2005 White Sox, okay? Everybody's talking about Schultz and Thorpe and Iriarte and all these guys, okay?
Ooh, that was
You're talking about all these guys.
You heard that? You heard that?
Are the White Sox going to have a 25-man rotation? Are they going to have 7 pitchers in the starting rotation? Unless they believe that they're going to get value for the next 2 years to compete, which is going to tell me they're either going to think they're going to compete with Crochet or they're going to move him because they think that they have a better shot of winning with the younger players and developing them. Garrett Crochet, with 2 years left in his contract, might have the highest value right now. If you're not planning on signing him long-term, okay, and landing a deal with him, then you might consider moving him. Why? Because teams are looking for depth. Garrett Crochet might be the number 3 starter for the Chicago White Sox. He might be the guy who's coming in the bullpen, out of the bullpen for other teams, and be the piggyback guy. So other teams are looking and saying, how can I fortify my team with bringing, like we just said, a Duke Ellis, a Garrett Crochet, because I need to win right now. They don't care about the years of arbitration, just like they didn't care for Cease. They might flip him next year. Garrett Crochet falls in that group, and the White Sox are going to look at it and say, because if a team gets him this year, with that 1 year of them having control, they can keep him and try signing him, or they can themselves flip. So there's going to be a market for him, maybe not as high as the White Sox think. So the White Sox again are stuck in a situation where they're going to need to make a decision of, is this guy going to be in our future, or are we going to move away from this guy? He doesn't have 5 years of control, and he's 21 years old. He's 25 with 2 years of control.
But that's still really good on the trade.
It is. But I'm saying from
really good.
I know, but from a White
really
Sox
good.
standpoint, you have to figure out what you want as a team. So Gonzo's saying that the window's open. Maybe these guys are like, our window's not open. We're not even close to there. We can't even hold a 5-game lead. We're about to have the worst team in Major League Baseball history. So they might be being realistic and saying, hey, we might really need to, make ourselves better in other positions because we have so much pitching depth. So I think right now, Chris Getz and the team should be open to seeing what they offer, because a team might be super desperate and say, hey, we're going to give you this guy, and this guy. And you say, you know what? Hey, hell with it.
Let me ask you guys right now, what's the gap between Garrett Crochet and Tarek Skubal?
Oh, God.
What's the gap?
Okay, like what they can do right now, or on like rotation, spin rate, and stuff?
I'm asking you right now.
Ronaldo Lopez is better than both of them.
No, I'm saying between Garrett Crochet and Skubal, these are the top 2 lefties in the Central. What's the talent and gap? I wouldn't mind leaning Skubal, but Garrett Crochet is a close second, especially a couple years younger than him too.
So Skubal, to me, like Crochet in 2024 is who Skubal was 2 years ago with the Tigers. Like,
okay,
he's in your rotation. He's a prospect. Like, you feel pretty good about his ceiling, his stuff. I don't think Skubal had the injury issues when he was younger, like Crochet has had. But you look at him and you project him as potentially top of the rotation type guy. Skubal, I mean, what he's doing this year is crazy good.
Jay, I'll tell you this something real quick. Nobody in baseball thinks that Skubal's a bullpen guy. There's a lot of people in baseball that think Garrett Crochet is.
Tell him inbox me.
Okay, I'm just saying. There's a lot of people in Major League Baseball that believe Garrett Crochet is a bullpen guy, and he could be a guy that can eat multiple innings in the bullpen and potentially be an amazing.
I think with the volume of strikes that Garrett Crochet throws and the movement he has on his 4-seamer, I believe that as a starter, he can eat quality starts because he's efficient as fuck and he pounds the strike zone.
Yeah.
Like literally.
How many quality? Okay, how many quality starts does he have this year?
Hold on.
Let's look it up. Again, you guys, White Sox fans always talk about stuff. And like this guy in a magical world and his stuff would do this. Look at the stats.
I'm not talking magic.
I'm just saying though, they're going to do that. When they look at the trade, they're going to say, hey, quality starts, what he has now and what he's had in his career, and they're going to compare it to other guys.
I'm trying to find his game log to see how many quality starts. But, I mean, he leads Major League Baseball with 13 starts. 6 innings, that's 1 quality start, 2 quality starts. 7 out of 13. I mean, his whip,
team.
To your point, Jay, his whip right now is like .93, which is insane. If he did that out of the bullpen, we'd be fucking pumped. But he's doing it.
No, his whip is amazing.
That's to me like the reason that there is real hope is because he's not walking a shit ton of guys and giving up a ton of base runners.
If the Chicago White Sox could pay John Danks, they should have no issue paying Garrett Crochet.
Okay, but if Crochet continues on this trajectory, he's going to price himself out of White Sox John Danks territory.
Well,
correct.
Shit.
And by the way, John Danks got paid.
Yeah,
by the way,
but
I don't want the facts.
Hey, when John Danks got paid, they were in a competitive time when they were trying to win division.
We're about to win tonight.
I'm just saying, though, the White Sox are in the worst position in their history as a team in losing. That's the part. If this was a team that was 500, I'd be like, hell no, don't trade Garrett Crochet, because you're so close to being above 500 and being close to winning, like fighting for a division. This team might be the worst team in the history of Major League Baseball. I'm just saying, though,
I think
that's what they're thinking about.
I don't think anyone's gonna. At the end of the day, I don't think anyone's gonna blow you out of the water for what you're gonna be looking for value wise. So, and the White Sox spent so much of their resources the past 2 years focusing on pitching prospects that I feel like this trade deadline, you need to get as much. You got to max out value on position players as you can. For me, that's Robert, Fetty, Kopech. Those guys are going to get back. I'm going to try to get back as much return value as I can for them. So to go back to that second question, Slav, with the Padres, I felt that that was more so a smokescreen for a guy like Fetty, for example. Because when you look at their farm system, they got a lot of good pitching prospects, but I only see maybe one or two position players that I would truly feel like I could even have a discussion with, but that's still not enough for me to get a deal done with the Padres. But I'm not going to say that there's not another team out there that won't try to be more with a field more of a competitive offer than what the Padres can with prospects wise for position players.
Who's his agent, number one?
Crochet's agent?
Yeah.
It's a good question. CAA, so that's not Boris's group.
No.
But also like that, I mean, if it were me, I want to see how not only this season finishes off, I want to see how 25 goes, and then 26. At the end of 26, if he's going as projected,
he's a free agent.
Is he 27 or 26?
27
through 26. So
okay, so
after
26, sorry, 25. Then 25. At the end of 25, I would look to make that extension.
And what if he shits the
contract
bed?
extension?
Then you have no trade value, and you have no one.
Okay.
You have no point in signing him. So you.
By that point, we have enough pitching depth to recover.
No, you think you have enough pitching depth. You don't know
Here
shit
we go.
about what you have in 2 years.
I
You don't know shit about who's going to be there at the end of next year.
I feel very comfortable.
By the way, but that's comfortable. But that's not a fact. It's not like you have.
You felt comfortable with Michael Kopech as the number 2 starter last year.
Yeah,
no,
it's not
no.
guys. It's not guys that
know?
have done it. It's not a guy that's done it year after year after
I
year.
was not a Kopech as my ace guy, for the record.
You called him a number 2 starting pitcher.
I said potential.
You said he's better than Tristan. You said he was better than Tristan.
Fucking receipts right
Yeah,
now.
and both of them aren't
number 2 starter.
Yeah,
after
Tristan's
like 4
got
months
also
in
a
spring
4
training.
ERA.
By the way, have you seen the picture that I shared in the group chat and I shared on Twitter?
Which one? Oh,
Javi Baez and
Tim Anderson.
Okay, this city and both fan bases. That one was when I was hurting kids. I was hurting kids' feelings in travel baseball. By the way, Angel Hernandez quit the big leagues, but now I'm resuscitated as him in travel baseball. I am Ozzy Hernandez when I put my umpires on. No, so here's the thing: when you have players, okay, and we've seen example after example, Tim Anderson and Javi Baez. One guy got $100 million, which everyone is regretting. The other guy, I feel bad because he didn't get paid. They can't hit themselves out of a slump. Complete bust. Who knows what's going to happen with their careers? Okay. Yoan Moncada. Okay. And I'm going to throw my guy under the bus. That's why when I look at the White Sox line, there's nobody in the Chicago White Sox system that is a bigger prospect than Yoan Moncada was when he was down there.
Facts.
No, but Yoan Moncada even wore his uniform like a 10 out of 10 guy. It's same thing with Eloy Jimenez. Okay, same thing with Michael Kopech. These guys made minor league baseball look like it was a joke. Those guys that are down there, when you have a list of 6 guys, if you go just mathematics, just math-wise, if 3 of those guys end up in your big league rotation, you've hit a home run.
It's a huge win.
It's a huge win. So the fact that everyone thinks that all 6 guys are going to be in your starting rotation is like ridiculous. So this whole thing of like, oh my God, this guy's going to do this and this guy, I'm going to go down. They brought Lance Broadway.
Oh man.
I'm just saying, I'm going to go down the list. Every year, every birdie, every year there's a top prospect that pitches that does not make it to the big leagues. That happens with the Latino players that sign at 16. That happens with the big league players that they sign. There's guys that go in and pitch 300 innings in the College World Series and they come to the big league.
Spencer Adams?
Yes, let's go down the list. This big league baseball thing is not a guaranteed. Okay, it's not a guaranteed. They don't have, for some reason, it does not add up. So saying that that you're gonna have pitching depth. You know who's had the best prospects for the last 20 years in pitching? Go look up at the list of guys that have been on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I was gonna say the Rangers too.
Oh, look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've never won anything because they have them, but only 2 guys make it, and it's not enough for them. And then they have to sell those guys. So thinking that you have the first team that's ever going to have 6 out of 6 and that you don't have to move guys and everyone's going to make it, that's where you make the mistakes. That's the mistakes Rick Hahn made where he said, I just traded for the number 1 through 6 prospect. I have nothing to do. I'll put in a couple guys in, and I got the Division 1 for the next 10 years.
Eric
That's
Johnson,
the risk that they run. They have to develop.
Tyler Danish.
Yeah. Like, look at the list. It's so big league. There's been guys that have dominated minor league baseball.
Carson
okay,
Fuller.
that are.
You
John
guys
Dinks.
hate the White Sox, bro.
By the way, when John Dinks got that contract, guys, when
Alec
John Dinks got
Hansen.
that contract, go look up John Dinks' numbers before he got the contract. He makes Crochet and Dylan Cease and all those guys look like they belong in the Dollar Tree. Look at John Dinks' numbers.
Danks was a boss. And
He was the boss. He was the
08,
guy. He was 08. He was the guy that was like, oh my God, we have the next Mark Burley.
And he had
his
that
life-
mentality, like he
He
was
had
a
the
dog.
mentality. He had the cojones. He had
We even didn't we draft his brother?
Dude,
too?
we let Garland go. We let John Garland, Freddie Garcia, we let all those guys go because we thought we had a guy, and he was the guy. He actually took us to win a division. So Crochet has not done that. Cease did that. So saying that Crochet is going to be the superstar in 2 years, he hasn't even made an all-star team. Even on bad teams, somebody makes an all-star team. By the way, quality starts has nothing to do with your team is being bad or not. You can hold the team for 5 innings, get the quality start, and then your team get destroyed. It has nothing to do with your team being good or bad. So we're talking about guys like they're untouchables. The White Sox need to look and figure out who they are. So you're telling me that historically, a team that's never signed a pitcher to a long-term contract since Jamie Navarro, John Dinks, Peavy, and it's never happened again. We didn't sign a number 1 pitcher in White Sox history in Mark Burley in the last 100 years to an extension. But you think that the White Sox are going to extend Crochet when they didn't extend Cease. And Cease could have, by the way, could have been extended during the competitive window.
Should have been.
But I'm saying though, but they didn't. So why didn't they? So now they're in the team is in a worse situation than they were when Rick Hahn had it. They could have extended. They extended Moncada. They extended Pantera the first day he got to the big leagues. Basically, they
The
could have
White
done
Sox
that.
have balked twice in this game. Like, what the fuck? Did he just balk a 3rd time? Oh, he called timeout.
But
This
that's
is
Betty's
not-
still in the
crazy.
game?
No, Mike Soroka's pitching, and he balked.
So guys, here's a part that concerns me about the
That was
Crochet. If
Pedro, I'd be up
if
this.
anybody else has shared that name, out of all the writers, if anybody else had shared that name, I would have been like, I might have been like, there's a level of BS to it. But the fact that he shared that name, and he has a team, when he shares things with a name and a team, there has been at least conversations that have happened.
Yes.
He did not just wake up and say, I'm going to make this up and do it. That's who he is. His standard is so high that he is one of those guys that even when he misses on predictions, there's like some conversations going. So I do agree, Gonzo, that maybe Crochet, and that's what he heard, and maybe there are moving Fetty or somebody else, but that means that the White Sox are in conversation to moving an arm, and that there are teams that are out there shopping an arm.
Not only that, but also a rookie GM that already established that connection with San Diego with the Cease deal. So he already has that familiarity. Good or bad, I mean, I feel like this is my own opinion that he got fleeced just because of having him, just him being a rookie GM. He doesn't have those established connections wait, the whole league yet.
Wait.
do you mean he got
Fuck.
fleeced?
Did you just say that? Wait, okay. So
how did he get fleeced?
Uriarte and Drew Thorpe are fucking incredible prospects,
Yeah.
and you want to suck their dick, but
They're not
Jets
good
got
enough.
fleeced in the Dylan Cease trade. Which one is it?
Oh,
If you go back to the beginning, right? What did he come out and tell us he wanted? He wanted 2 or 3 prospects in the top 100, which is very fair.
So he got 2 of them
No, at the time
Well,
of the deal,
okay.
he only got 1.
at the time of the deal.
And
Sure.
even right now, hold up, Junior. I know you got your own biases here, but at the time, right now, Jairo still isn't top 100.
Sure. That's
So,
fact, yes. Okay,
in my
but
opinion, I
do
said
you
my
think the White
opinion.
Sox give a fucking a shit about Keith Law's list? Keith Law hates the White Sox.
No, but
He
I'm
doesn't
saying
care about Keith
I
Law
feel
and
like you
Baseball
could have got
America.
I feel like you could have got better value for Cease, for a top pitcher in the game.
But you're pulling that out of thin air.
By the way, Drew
Because
Jones.
obviously, if he could have gotten better value, he would have gotten better value.
Is Drew Jones still on that top 100?
Who?
Drew Jones. Pull up that list.
Drew
Andrew
Jones.
Jones' son. That's my boy. Is Drew Jones on that list?
I don't have the
That's
Baseball
a good
America
question.
subscription to see.
Okay, that's what I'm telling you. Drew Jones has been hurt for like 2 years, and he's finally getting an at bat, and he's in the top 100 list because he got drafted number 1. That
He was also struggling this year.
He's been struggling since he got signed.
So,
He came out of high
but he
school.
was high, but he started to take a hit.
This is the thing. That 100 list is probably made by a guy in his underwear in the basement. That's what they make that list for.
But all right, so you go back to that deal, right? The Yankees and the Rangers were starting to heat up because they had arms that went down, and that deal was done within hours of that rumors being heating up. I would have waited a little bit, at least a week longer, allow those to take off and start a bidding war.
But the Yankees
it's either, and it doesn't matter if I'm not getting Dominguez or
somebody else.
No,
it doesn't matter if Dominguez or Spencer Jones isn't in that deal. There's still other prospects that I could have come up with a better package than what was dealt. Yeah, go ahead.
Gonzo, even though the Yankees had they took a hit in their rotation. That's their strength. The Yankees pitching is their strength. Like, if you haven't watched Aaron Boone the last 4 years,
Justin, it turned out to be that way, but going into the season, they didn't believe that either.
By the way, Gonzo, this is how
Come
big
on,
this
bro, but you're only saying that because you lost the name Garrett Cole. Like, they still had the depth in the rotation. Clark Schmidt, Luis Heel. Like, they were gonna eat the innings. They just lost the name.
Okay, here I'm gonna say this real quick. Prospect ranking, top 100. Jackson Holliday's number 1.
You're looking at MLB Pipeline. We're talking about Baseball America, though.
Okay, Baseball America. Okay, the fact that Paul Skeens, whatever Skeens, the guy who's Paul Skeens. Okay, if there's ever a list made up of prospects, he's number 1.
He should be, yes.
He should be number 1. Why?
Or
because he
should
came
have
to the
been,
big
yes.
league. He came to the big leagues and shot. He came to the big leagues and told big leaguers, "Here's my ball. Hit it. I'm going to shove it on you."
But baseball
Jackson Holliday came
someone
up
else
here
over
and pooped his
Skeens.
pants. Pooped his pants, struck out a bunch of times, and got sent to the minors. So that's why I think this list, this list of prospects, top 100, Colson Montgomery, top prospect, he's on this pipeline. He's 10th on the list. 10th. Colson is number 10 right now in Major League Baseball on the pipeline. So if I have to look up the Baseball America, we got Caro. We got a bunch of guys that haven't made it past. Oh, my God. Look at this list.
All right, so here's the updated White Sox on the Baseball America list that just came out today. The updated June update. Number 9 in Major League Baseball is Noah Schultz. He was, I think, number 48 preseason. So huge jump with what he did in high A and now in double A. So he's the number 1 prospect on the White Sox. Number 9 overall in Major League Baseball, Noah Schultz. The 3rd highest rated pitching prospect in general in all of baseball. Number 12, Colson Montgomery. Number 41, Drew Thorpe. Number 90, Edgar Cuero. So there are 4 guys in the top 100 according to Baseball America with their June update. So that's the risers, so to speak, in the White Sox prospect pool. Iriarte.
So here we go. So it's like, real quick question. If you put Noah Schultz's numbers next to Iriarte's, for example, who's got more pitching experience in the minor leagues and has had more success since they've been in the minor leagues?
Next to each other, Iriarte.
So Noah Schultz goes from, he pitches because they were throwing him 3 innings at a time because of his injury. So he has 3 good months and he jumps 45 spots. And you guys don't think that marketing has anything to do with it. That's why this list is BS.
You can't get too worked up and like, oh, I need a top 100 prospect.
Oh, he's worked.
That's an imaginary that's not how scouting departments and general managers operate. They don't say we want a top 100 guy. They rank guys, they grade guys as major leaguers, potential all-stars, starting pitcher, blah blah blah, whatever it might be. They're looking for specific XYZ grades. They don't care if Keith Law has him at 89 and fucking Joe Schmo from MLB Pipeline has him at 72. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Only fans use these lists.
Slav, I
Only
bet
fans?
By the way, Slav, I bet that Gonzo was in the room with Rick Hahn when the Padres
What the fuck?
was in the room with Rick Hahn when the Padres said, "Hey, we'll take Fernando Tatis," and they all looked at each other and said, "Oh my God, they want someone that's not in the top 100 list."
Exactly.
We're fleasing them.
Exactly, right.
No, not
That's
because
what that, and they all hugged each other and said,
that
oh my God,
doesn't
it's in the top
go.
100 list.
That doesn't go with my perspective at all. Because at the last trade deadline, when I was coming up with prospect packages for like Lance Lynn, for example, I brought up Nestrini's name, and Nestrini was like their 11th prospect in their farm system at that time. So I'm not just looking
According
at
to
rankings.
who? Again, like
According
that.
to-
That you
according to-
just cited a ranking.
Yeah,
You
that was
just
on
cited a
MLB.
ranking.
That was MLB Pipeline's ranking of their individual system. But I'm looking at perspective of going through their scouting report and saying, okay, I would have this guy over this guy.
Gonzo,
As I'm
we
going
love you
through
to
their
death,
system.
but you fall in love with prospects. Like Junior said, he said it perfectly. If 3 guys of this big 6 that Birmingham has, if 3 guys become decent major league pitchers, your scouting department is a fucking major win. The Dylan Cease trade looks like a major win if Thorpe and Iriarte make it to the big leagues and pitch well.
I don't disagree with that at all.
So then how do you get fleeced if you get 2 major leaguers out of it?
Because I'm saying if I'm looking at other teams that were heating up at that time, I felt like I could come back with a better package and the prospects that I would value over those.
So what happened if you're Iriarte and those guys end up being better players than those prospects? It's
Then I
all
was
about
wrong.
what they do in the big leagues. That's all about what they produce in the big leagues. It doesn't matter. You're trading prospect for prospects. That's an imaginary world in the minor league system. Again, Fernando Tatis Jr. I wish that I can look up the numbers and look up the math.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
On the top 100 list. By the way, look up in rosters in Major League Baseball and see guys that have been ranked in the top 100 list that are everyday big league players.
Mitch Parker, I'm gonna tell you right now, the Nationals got a lefty named Mitch Parker, 24-year-old. Nobody's ever heard of him, right? He's the next big league starter.
Did you say that Hyro stats were better?
He's number one. He's pitched longer.
No,
yes, they are better. Noah Schultz has pitched
not.
I just want to say, like, you guys are talking about what these prospects do in the big leagues. Like, I'm telling you, like, guys like Mitch Parker, like Garrett Crochet, these are guys that can make the jump almost immediately. And we're in a generation right now to where that's accelerated. Like, I know you guys are tired of hearing about Project Birmingham, but
do you know how many innings Noah Schultz has pitched in the minor leagues?
It's starting to materialize.
How many innings has Noah Schultz pitched in the minor leagues?
White Sox.
Noah Schultz has pitched 62 innings in the minor leagues.
Over three.
Before that, he was pitching it out over 3 years. That means that 3 years ago he was at Oswego East, and I would have been umpiring.
That's only 20.
I've seen the kids that he
20
faced in high
innings a
school.
year.
I've seen the kids that he faced in Chicago. I've seen what he faced. I've seen the competition.
Okay,
and you're gonna tell me that with 62 innings in the minor league.
No, Junior, that's not fair. That's not fair because this motherfucker watched the video of what he did in high A and what he's doing in double A, especially lefty. No, it's not good, dude. He makes these guys look embarrassing, like they've never faced another left-handed pitcher. Yes, to your point, it's 60 innings. Like, you got to pump the brakes a little bit, but he's big, he's young, he's a lefty, he's got good stuff. Like, he's so far so good, and he was a top 10 pick or whatever, number 11, whatever he was. So that's all in the equation. Iriarte the last 2 years, 140 innings, he's thrown 3-something ERA between 23 and 24. In just the last year and a half, he's doubled and then some what Schultz has done in 3 years in the minors. So to your point, Junior, yes, like Iriarte the last 2 years has done more, but Schultz's ceiling is higher.
Correct.
But comparatively, this year, Schultz is better.
Yes, I mean it's a very small sample that Noah Schultz has.
Yeah, this year.
Well, yeah, but
All
that's
right,
because
last thing on Crochet.
that's the
Last thing on
difference
Crochet.
of the prospect path.
What do you mean that's the difference?
Because they have different prospect paths to where they
What do
got
you mean?
to
They
this
both
point.
got signed at 17 years old, 16 years old. What do you mean different?
Yeah, but the Sox didn't put Schultz into pro baseball until last summer for, what was it?
Well, he was hurt in high
By the
school.
way,
10 games.
Gonzo, they didn't put him into pro baseball because he was injured. Not because of White Sox. They were doing
he
something.
was hurt
He was
when they
injured.
drafted him.
He was injured. So that's why he couldn't pitch. He was hurt. It wasn't like they were doing something
real
special.
quick, because we're gonna end up going 4 hours on this fucking shit. I went to Gonzo's favorite website, baseballtradevalues.com. And
Oh, boy.
what do you think is the first featured trade? White Sox Padres, Garrett Crochet goes to the Padres for, and this, according to this website, is almost equal value. Garrett Crochet, 56.5. Dylan Lesko and Robbie Snelling, which according to the rankings, they're the number 2 and 3 prospects for the Padres, 53.9. If you call the Padres today and you ask for Lesko and Snelling, AJ Preller is going to fucking throw the phone in your face.
He would.
There's no chance in hell that they get Lesko and Snelling for Garrett Crochet.
No. If AJ Preller made that move, he would get fired. No, they wouldn't give him the two guys. No.
I wonder what the value was for that Arias deal.
The deal I just found out about yesterday?
Yeah, because he was very aggressive with that deal.
Let's see.
We are talking about AJ Preller. He is very aggressive.
And you're talking about a guy that was the batting champion and has done a lot in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but I'm saying, Ozzy, that prospect package, it wasn't anything stellar.
Dylan Head was at one time a very big prospect for them. Okay, see, then what's the point of the fucking rankings?
By the way, guys,
you can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both. You know what's a huge prospect? The South Korean Cy Young. And you know what happened to him? He got lit up when he came to Washington, and he got destroyed. And then he had to go to South Korea and find himself.
Holy shit.
Many years later, he's not with the White Sox.
How was it 5-5? Holy fuck, I didn't even realize.
Hey, by the way, because they have prospects. By the way, because they have prospects.
I'm trying to find. I know Dylan Head was one of the guys in the deal. Why can't I find where the hell?
Jay, I'm gonna keep this show going on for the next.
Bottom line,
just Slav, so that I can just.
Slav, take us away because we got prospect show next week, so we don't have to.
With who? With who? Prospect show?
Yeah, with Elijah Evans.
By the way,
from Future Sox.
Wow.
Good evening, Juan Diego.
By the way, can we call it the Uncle Rico show?
Why?
Because it's like, if my coach would have put me in and I threw the ball over that mountain, I bet I could have been All-American. It's the Uncle Rico show.
No, Future Sox, they do a hell of a job.
I'm just saying, though, like it's...
They do a hell of a job catering to people like Gonzo.
By the way, they do a hell of a job talking about players that are...
I don't know what's taking place.
Gonzo, they do a hell of a job following players that 95% of them are not going to make it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's someone doing the groundwork.
Correct, and that's awesome.
No, I totally respect the work that they do. They provide video clips. There's context. Like, it's great.
It's really good.
Oh my God, we just can't fall into this trap. Do you remember this fucking bullshit we did? And I'm telling you, I remember it like it was yesterday. Before the White Sox were good, very briefly in 20 and 21 and 22. We did fucking Meet the Prospects, and we were fucking talking about all the prospects in the pregame shows and postgame shows because the team was fucking sucking ass. There was nobody to watch at the major league level, and we wanted to hype up every fucking person in minor league baseball. Do you remember how much everyone thought Laz Rivera was going to be God's gift to fucking major league baseball?
Yes. By the way,
some of the guys that we used to talk about every single day.
I've been mad at the sponge.
2019.
Jay,
Winston Salem Dash.
Where's Popeye? What was that guy's name that Gonzo loved that said he was going to be a third baseman for the White Sox?
Oh my God!
He just got
You're not going to do my
point like
this.
All right, he just got suspended for gambling. He's done. Like, he's not even in professional baseball anymore. And
Alec Hansen. Remember Alec Hansen? He was minor league pitcher of the year.
Yes.
Minor league pitcher of the year fell off the face of the earth. Zach Remillard. Fucking journeyman infielder. Who else is on this team? Craig Didolo. Jesus Christ.
Keep going.
I don't want to. Like Laz Rivera.
What is taking place right now? Why are they catching this straight?
The gift that keeps on getting. No, because we want to keep it real because you need to bring here and trade prospects for guys that can play every day. And if that brings you to a place that's closer and you're saying, I'm not going to trade a guy that I'm going to eventually lose because I'm not getting a guy that's ranked.
At the end of the day, these are previous GM's moves.
By the way,
because Chris Getz has such a fucking good job of.
I'm not saying he does or doesn't, but we got.
These are his guys.
Gonzo, did you or did you not say that Popeye was going to be a future infielder for the Chicago White Sox?
I said give him a chance. Just like with Sosa, he's finally giving it. We're finally
giving him a chance.
Taekwon Forbes, you remember fucking Taekwon Forbes?
Oh my god.
Joel Booker, you remember Joel Booker? Everyone was fucking stroking him when he was in high A. Then he went to Double A and had one good week.
Where's Elko?
White Sox
Rutherford. Talking about Elko. Where's that guy at? Elko. Where's he?
Luis Basabe, Miker Adolfo.
Yeah. You people hate the Sox.
We were hyping up all those guys.
It
doesn't pan out that way.
Every time they signed a Cuban, and now they don't even announce it when they release the Cuban. You have to find it through the Cuban Twitters. They're like, they released so and so.
Cuban Twitters.
They do. They won't even. The White Sox won't even announce, like, make it a big deal that they released one of their Cuban signings that they had from a couple years ago from like the free agent draft, like the guys they gave $2, $3, $4, $5 million to. You just have to see in the Cuban Twitter. Like the Cuban prospect following, they'll say, "Oh, the White Sox just got rid of, Basabe," or like the list of everyone that they signed during the Cuban era. They won't even announce it. They're just like literally tell them like, "Okay, go away quietly."
Oh my God, this hurts.
Popeye, by the way, Popeye went from being give him a chance, he's going to be an everyday second baseman, blah 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 blah, suspended. We'll never be playing baseball anytime soon because he was parlaying, he was putting parlays together.
I guess Luis Basabe has been out of baseball since 22. He played 9 games in AAA in Charlotte in 22, and that's it.
So to be fair, I mean, I don't have a lot of faith in Chris Getz, but I still have to have hope.
But you don't have faith
eventually
in Chris
they
Getz,
figure this out.
You don't have faith in Chris Getz, but you think that the 6 starters that are in Birmingham are going to be superstars.
No, I never said that.
Before we die, the White Sox will be good again. I hope.
By the way,
this is like how you guys remember, or did you see the press conference that Ryan Poles had, where I think it was Pat McAfee asked him, "Is like, how pissed are you that you always have to hear this Bears quarterback history?" I think it was Robert.
Yeah, it's my job to change.
Yeah.
To change.
Yeah, because Robert Griffin kept saying, kept talking about Caleb. Is he going to do this and that? And he's like, I don't want to be judged by the past. I want to be judged by right now. It's like, I can't wait until we have a GM that makes that change.
Theo's not.
By the way, what changes have the Bears made? They haven't made any change. They have a guy that has an opportunity to be great. I feel like with them actually putting a competent football-minded president at the head of the organization and Kevin Warren, I think that's a huge step forward.
Okay.
But what happened if they don't win?
So it's at least the change that I was hoping to see.
The change is the hope, but if the change does not bring you W's and doesn't bring
we're about to find out. But
we're going to find out again.
Pretty good.
It's not the chances
because the Bears didn't take any shortcuts in this.
Go back,
starting everything over.
Go cash your 401k out.
Oh my God!
And bet it on the Bears winning the division. If you're that serious on it, then go do it and then share your ticket.
What did I come back to?
I'm just saying though, like the
you're gonna get penalized like 35% though if you cash out your 401k.
So I wouldn't recommend that. I'm just saying like we're talking about prospects, and when you talk about prospects and change, you cannot say that the change has already happened. And he just tried to use an example like the Bears, like we were talking about. When the Patriots hired this GM and he came in and he said, by the way, use Jimmy Johnson, the guy that came from Miami to the Cowboys, made 76 moves, won like 4 Super Bowls, had the team of the era. Talk about that. Talk about Shorehulse when he went to Kansas City and rebuilt that staff. Talk about when he went to the Braves with Bobby Cox and took him from being a nobody team to building the most consecutive wins division-wise.
Junior, I'm going to be a maniac this fall.
I'm just saying, though, use stuff that's a fact. Don't use things that are not there. Like, don't use like numbers and stuff that's not there. Use Kenny Williams. Say Kenny Williams took a team where when Ron Schuler had it, they had not won, and he literally brought a championship. Like, people might hate him, but might not be a good example. Use examples that have won. Use Jerry Krause and the Chicago Bulls. Say, wow, they had a nobody, and then they got a guy named Michael Jordan, and they built around him, and we're still talking about that guy today. That's where you want the Bears to be at when my son's 25 years old, but they have not done it. Just like the White Sox have not done it. You're holding hope, but you have to be patient.
Remember that time we turned James McCann into an all-star? That was awesome.
Back in the day.
By the way, I think he still would have been a better player here though than Jasmani.
Probably right. Okay. Are we good on Crochet? We don't have to talk prospects anymore. Thank God.
No.
All right, Gonzo. Last couple things. Take us through the upcoming schedule and let's do picks to click. And I'm going to bed.
Yeah, so the White Sox, after they wrap up this
After they get
Town
swept by the Cubs.
Classic
I'm
blowout.
dropping.
See you,
See you.
Junior.
Drive safe.
Sox have a 4-game series at home Thursday through Sunday. It's looking like Thursday begins a Woodford versus
Did you see
Huck.
what just happened?
No.
They keep us hopeful that they
The
can
young
actually
10th
take a
home run
game.
of the season. Solo shot to tie it at 6.
Oh my gosh, this game's gonna go forever.
So true story. My
So-
buddy is a Tigers fan, lives in Minnesota. Texted me earlier today. He's like, "Hey, I'm in an AL only fantasy league. I need a shortstop. Baez, blah blah blah. He sucks. Does DeYoung play every day? What's his story?" I'm like, he kind of sucks. Not gonna give you average, but he's got some pop. He's been playing most of the time. He'll get you a home run every once in a while. He signed him and he got him a home
Welcome to a once in a while.
Yes. Hey, 10 bombs on the season. That's, I mean, I don't know.
You
what his
remember
pace
when we
is.
got?
I mean, I don't
Jimmy
know.
He's
Rollins?
like Matt Davidson.
I don't know what he has got available in his league. If we had more details, we can give him,
He said it was between him and David Hamilton.
Ooh.
That's Jay's team, the Red Sox.
All right, so continue with the schedule. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the Red Sox, yes, they're coming to town Thursday through Sunday. Woodford versus Huck Thursday, Friday Crochet versus Criswell, Saturday Nostrania versus Bayo, and then Sunday Chris Flexen versus Cutter Crawford. Jay, this is a Boston team that has come in. They're doing pretty solid than where I thought that they would be coming into this year. Rafael Devers has been 288 with 13 homers, 32 ribbies. He should be, if not the starter, the backup third baseman. If it's not, him or Jose Ramirez, the two are going to be, go after each other here down the stretch here. Tell me a little bit about your Boston Red Sox.
Well, everybody gets so caught up in Rafael Devers, and rightfully so. He's the all-star, the lead guy over there. But Ceddanne Rafaela leads the team in RBI over him. And when you look at his body of work, and you got to look past the batting average, he's batting closer to about 210 than most. But he can work his way on base. He's had a couple multi-home run games. He can steal bases. He's a guy that could put some stuff together. Jarren Duran also had a great day today, homer and a triple. So if I'm the White Sox right now, you got to make sure that you don't help the Red Sox get to second base. The Red Sox have a superpower to where they slug naturally. 1 through 9, everybody knows how to get to second base. Check your runners. Limit the tempo. In Rob Manfred's league, I'm going to pound the table. You cannot control time and tempo in Rob Manfred's league. So what you got to do is use a slide step when you're in the stretch. Do not go from the full windup. You cannot afford to let guys get to second base. They could run. This is a very athletic team. They have like 6 guys that can take extra bases at will. The White Sox pitchers don't do a good job at varying their times to home plate. That puts a lot of pressure on Maldonado and Corey Lee. So to make a long story short, you cannot get caught up in the the Rafael Devers. It's
Is
the
there
little
any
guys
team in
around
Major League
there.
Baseball right now that the White Sox would be favored against in any series?
Maybe
The Rockies.
Miami.
The Rockies. The Rockies, Miami. Those two.
Who's going to be a better Major League player long term, Rafaela or Victor Robles? Because I feel like they're very similar players.
Rafaela.
Really?
Because Victor Robles can only play the outfield. Rafaela can play anywhere.
Okay.
He's
But
more,
can he play anywhere well? Because he's a damn good outfielder. We've seen that.
he's a damn good shortstop. The thing is, you can't have Jaron Duran in center field every day. It lessens his value. You know what I'm saying? Like Weiler Abreu is on the IL right now just from spraining his ankle walking down the dugout steps. Like Alex Cora has had to play with the least amount of cards in his deck all season. It's next man up. Like he's kind of numb to the fact of people getting hurt. I hate to say it as insensitive as it sounds, but at the end of the day, Slavko, to answer your question, Rafaela could play probably 7 positions on the diamond if you ask him to. He's a better version of Brent Lillibridge. He's 162.
We know you love Brent Lillibridge.
Yeah, don't make me seem like a weirdo.
Oh, I mean, I would never. You do that for yourself.
Thank you.
So what's after Boston?
We go on the road to Seattle. The first
We
place.
don't. They do.
They do, yes. The White Sox
No,
go on the
we
road.
do.
We don't do shit. We are not.
I'm
the
speaking in
White Sox.
terms of John Sheffrin and
John
we.
Schriffen.
Sorry,
You love the guy.
Schriffen.
You don't even know his name.
Here he goes.
I'm halfway literate out here, Slav. So Seattle goes on the road. Or did I say Seattle? White Sox go on the road to Seattle. There we go. For a 3-game series, Tuesday through Thursday. It's looking like Tuesday's matchup's going to be Fetty versus Gilbert. Wednesday, Crochet versus Wu. That's probably their best bet at a victory. And then Thursday's Nastrini versus Bryce Miller. Julio Rodriguez is heating up.
Come on, bro.
Justin
Don't do
is
it. Come
happy
on.
to hear this.
Get the fuck.
Cal O'Reilly is batting 209 with 11 homers and 33 ribbies.
Come on.
Justin, you dislike Seattle, so tell us a little bit about the Seattle squad that's in first place.
Now, first of all, let's just be honest right now. The American League West is the worst division in baseball right now. Pound for pound, it's the worst. It's a colostomy bag. You got the Rangers payroll barely keeping their head above water. They're chasing Seattle, for God's sake, where their GM just told us last year they're not trying to win a World Series. George Kirby does not want quality starts on next to his name on the box score. Like, seriously, that's what we're talking about. Now, their rotation is their superpower. Gilbert, Kirby, and Miller. That's 3 right-handers who very well could make the All-Star team. We are catching a break with Andres Munoz. He's going to be on the shelf for our series. He was banged up, got into a collision last night, so he's sore. Scott Service said he's definitely on bed rest right now. But if I'm the White Sox, what I have to do is make sure I get into that Seattle bullpen as soon as possible.
It doesn't matter. It
No.
won't matter.
It does
suck.
matter.
They can't hit.
All we have to do is work the count and milk these pitchers. All 3 of their horses are susceptible to the pitch count. Like, you don't have to beat their ass. You don't have to sit here and hang 5 earned runs on them. All you have to do is make sure they're at 81 pitches through 4, and you have a chance. The middle relief for Seattle is terrible. You're gonna end up facing guys like Salcedo, Spire. Like, those are left-handed guys that Corey Yolks can kill. Luis
The White
Robert
Sox have
can
one
kill.
player with an on-base percentage over 333, and it's Gavin Sheets.
So I hope he's in the lineup.
Well, you need 9 Gavin Sheets to even potentially just get the pitch count up.
What's Robert at right now?
But it's too small of a sample size from Robert anyway.
His OBP is 273 in now his 9th game. Not great, Bob. All right, picks to click. Let's do this. Let's get out of here.
Yep. The standings at the moment, I got
Slavko
5.
12 and you guys 0. You're right.
No,
Funny
no,
how
no.
Junior's got 1. Justin won last week with Corey Lee, so he's got three victories of the year. Our order for tonight goes Jay, Junior, Slav, and then me. I'll let Slav go before me. So, Jay, go ahead. Corey Lee's off the board, and apparently Gavin Sheets is off the board too.
All right. I'm just going to take the easy way out. I'm picking La Pantera. We're going to get the kitty cat on the board this season. A lot of right-handed pitching you're going to face, so just look middle away. They're going to try to work you with sliders, outer third off the plate. Just sit there. You already put 435 into the bleachers. That was a beautiful swing. Continue to do that. You're going to get mistakes. Pantera.
All right. So you go Luis Robert Jr. OJ goes Gavin Bonds and Gavin Sheets, and then Slavko, you are on the board.
That could be borderline racist, low key, calling him Gavin Bonds.
I'm gonna go with. Golly, everyone sucks after Luis Robert, and even Luis Robert bro. Isn't that great right now. Give me Andrew Vaughn. I think he's gonna hit a couple singles on some hanging sliders.
OP.
That's my hope.
That sounds like he's ordering from White Castle a couple singles with them sliders.
Yeah, I'll go Vaughnie.
All right. I am up last, and I got potential for 2-starter and Garrett Crochet. So I'm going to pick Garrett Crochet. I'm not going to spell crochet either. Slavko. I've learned.
That's how it's spelled. Crochet. There's a T at the end.
No, I put 2 T's, remember?
That's crotchet.
I swear to God, bro. Why are you doing this to him?
All right, so
picks are as goes.
Junior's got Sheets. I got Vaughnie. Gonzo's got Crotchet. All right. Okay.
Crotchet.
I feel not so great about Andrew Vaughn, but let's see. You know, be the 3rd overall pick for 1 week in your life. Act like
no one picked Yolks. Jokes.
It's because he's not very good. You don't get DFA'd if you're a really good Major League Baseball player, and you don't get picked up by a team that's 50 games under 500 in June if you're a good baseball player. Anyway,
Hey, is he batting 300?
Oh my God, sample size again. Like you were the same. I was guilty of it too. Brian Ramos was hitting like 273, and everybody was coming in their pants about it. And then he got hurt.
I can't believe what transpired tonight. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
We're back in full crew status.
Blame the White Sox. Like what
no,
the fuck? What do you know?
Because Corey Jokes has had enough success to get his roses on this fucking show.
What are you talking about? How many average Major League Baseball fans have even heard of who he is?
It doesn't. We don't fucking record this show for them. We record the show for the OGs.
He had 323 plate appearances last year, which is a good sample.
For what type of team? For what type of team? What type of team?
Playoff team?
Yeah. He was on the World Series team, and he put in work. It's not his
to the
fault.
tune of a 650 OPS and an 80 OPS plus. Tremendous.
Come on.
To his credit, he's hitting 315 games for the White Sox with an 835 OPS. We'll do that. We can take that. And it's resulted in 0 wins for him. So congrats.
Let me ask you, Slavko.
No.
Does he pass the eye test?
Of what?
You
No,
understand?
of course he doesn't. He does. No, he does not.
Okay. I see power.
I see a badass mother who won't take no crap off of nobody. It's a Cool Runnings reference if you don't know it. I see pride. I see power. Okay, I'm getting loopy. I've had enough of this show. I can't believe, Gonzo, man, like, I could just do quote graphics of all of your fucking proclamations sometimes, and it just blows my mind. But this was fun. It's great to be back in the mix. I'm excited for this show for the rest of the summer. Gonzo, we have Elijah Evans joining us next week for sure. Future Sox, talking Noah Schultz and all these top prospects who may or may not pan out in the major leagues. That was a question, right? He's coming on next week.
Yes. I'm reconfirming. I'm reconfirming with them on Monday, but we've been in talks for over a month now, and I told him we'd get him on in May, but we were busy with our live show and everything else.
That you guys have been,
so he reached out back to me the 1st actually of June, and he wanted to reconfirm. And I told him let's get you on the 12th, which is my birthday coming up next week. So
you get older.
What's better with Gonzo turning 29 and talking more prospects? Oh my goodness!
Oh, there's nothing I'm more excited
He said,
about.
"Oh my goodness."
All right.
This is definitely going 2 hours next week.
We are at 6-6 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bases empty for the Cubs against Brebbia. Let's see what happens. I don't have high hopes that the White Sox bullpen will keep.
You guys hate the Sox, bro. I just found out.
I don't hate them. They make me hate them.
Dude,
they
I'm
suck.
playing against OJ. He has like 80% tribesmen on his fantasy team. You sitting here, you just fucking defecated on my Corey Yolks eye test situation.
Jokes.
Jokes.
I say Yolks.
And now Gonzo with another conspiracy theory, so I don't even know what the future looks like. You people hate the Sox.
Do you know his Instagram handle is capital Steez?
Who?
Corey Jolks.
Why?
That gives me like 5% more likability factor. All right. That's all the time we have for this evening's show. Ozzie Jr. went to go pick up his cousin from the airport. I'm tired of Gonzo's proclamations. Hey, did you see Michael Chavis sign a White Sox minor league deal with the White Sox?
All Sox matter.
Yeah. Oh man, the Red Out podcast next week. I'm so excited to talk more Red Sox. I'm not at all. Good show, guys. Any shout outs before we get out of here?
Shout out to Asia, of course. It's wedding season. You've already made about 4 wedding cakes. 2 more to go. Thank you for letting me request days off from my day job. Go Targaryens. We are putting belt to ass in fantasy.
We're 11 days left before the Dragons return.
Oh,
June 16th. I'm looking forward to it. Gonzo, what you got?
I want to shout out also my girlfriend Soraya. So is manning down the fort with these dogs, keeping them quiet, or doing her best to keep them quiet.
Sometimes
I should
wish
say.
She would keep you quiet.
I just allow her to do it, and she'll make me quiet. I promise you. Besides that, I gotta give a shout out to you, Slav. You're back with us.
Aww.
We've got you for at least 2 months of your schedule, and I'm happy that we got Slav
When
back.
I met you in the summer.
Besides that, shout out to Elijah for coming on, because we brought on Dan last year.
How are you gonna give him thanks before he even joins the show? What if he bails on you and then he makes you look bad?
That is a nice hand job.
It's a terrible birthday present in that case, because there's no prospect talk next week then. But no, we had a good time, I thought, with Dan last year. So time to bring on another content creator that talks our farm system. But besides that, Slavko, we got a baseball draft and a hockey draft coming up too. So I know both me and you are very excited, at least for the hockey side of it, because that's another upcoming team in our city that has a lot of potential there. So
well, there's at least one player we can be excited about.
We got to see if Kyle Davidson.
You see what I mean?
We got to see if Kyle Davidson's gonna give us if he's gonna.
This is a White Sox podcast. You know what, Gonzo?
Hey, shut up.
You're part of the problem.
Shut up. Kyle Davidson is on the clock, Slavko, and he made a trade already before the draft.
Why are we talking about the Blackhawks right now? Let's end
Why
this goddamn
not?
show.
Why not? I gotta have some hope
I was up at 5:30
here.
for work this morning.
Listen,
I'm
already
excited about Bedard. I'm excited about.
I tried to help you, Slavko.
No, I am depressed with the White Sox, so I gotta bring a little sanity and talk.
So
I already
get
brought up the
MILB TV
Bears.
and you can
I'm
go watch
bringing
the
up
Winston
the
Salem
Hawks.
Dash.
You know what, Slavko? I was really happy to see your hockey
you
tweets, and
slam the pen?
now I get no happiness out of this.
Well, the irony
Take
is
it away,
my tweets,
Slavko.
My tweets weren't even like a positive thing. The Oilers have Evan Bouchard, one of the top young defensemen in all of the NHL. The Blackhawks could have drafted him, or they could have drafted Noah Dobson, who's now tearing it up with the Islanders. But they chose Adam Boqvist instead, and Boqvist is number one, has been traded away. Number two, like, isn't that good. Like, he's not bad, but he's not those guys. Just sad. It's just sad. Chicago sports is a sad, sad world right now. And all of
So
our
you got
chips
no
are in-
hope for draft capital and salary cap.
Gonzo hates you.
I'm very
He's just
upset
trying to
right
keep
now.
me awake at this point.
I
And
told you
we're
he
in the
hates
ninth
you.
inning. We might as well wait till the 16th inning when this game ends.
The 16.
No, they have $34 million in cap space. They have the number 2 pick, another first-round pick, 2 second-round picks. They've got some really great prospects already. I think Frank Nazar is going to be really good. I love Oliver Moore. If I was picking number 2, as much as I watched Artem Levshinov with Michigan State this year at the Big Ten Network, I would go with Demidov. I think you find Connor Bedard's kind of like, number 2 man. You have, the Crosby, Malkin type deal. You've got Draisaitl and McDavid with the Oilers. Like, you kind of need a 1-2 punch with your forwards. So hopefully we can find Bedard running mate. But Kyle Davidson, similar to Ryan Poles, he's kind of earned my respect to this point. So I've got faith in whatever it is that he does. But, much like our hopes with the White Sox in the future, like the Blackhawks are going to need some of these guys to pan out, but they're also going to need to offset that with some veterans who are quality NHL players. The Hawks are still a ways away.
And there's a rumor of Gensel talk already.
I don't see that. I just don't see Davidson spending or overpaying for a veteran like that. It just doesn't really fit long term. I could see Hawks fans mentioning Gensel, but I think like trading for Natchez, which Scott Powers wrote an article about, that makes more sense because he's 25. You still have to sign him to a long-term contract, but like you want something that matches their timeline, not the current free agent timeline. Like Jake Gensel's great.
If it was 7 years, would you do it? Or
Gensel,
you think
he's
it's going to go?
29 years old. No,
You think-
that makes zero sense.
But do you think it's going
Nice
to go?
hockey podcast.
Why are we
farther?
talking about this?
You think it's going to go farther or past 7 years?
Yeah.
Yes, because free agency is silly season, and that's where guys get overpaid and they get too much. Term is always the term for less or for better or worse. Like guys want long-term deals in free agency in the NHL because they just don't get paid as much in that league like they do in other leagues. So, 7 for Gensel, like you don't want to be paying 36-year-old Jake Gensel $7 million. Like it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, it's Elliot Friedman that speculated, and Friedman knows his shit. But this was total speculation, like of a team that has cap space and needs quality players, and that just being a fit. But I really can't see, unless it's like a 3 or 4 year deal, I can't see like Kyle Davidson going out and signing Gensel to a long contract.
There we go.
Okay, and no more freaking hockey talk. All right, for Ozzie Guillen Jr., for Justin, for Gonzo, for Slav, that's me. Thanks for listening to this edition. Thanks for watching this edition of the Blackout Show. Make sure to subscribe on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Look at where are these little thumbs up coming from?
It doesn't like you.
Whatever. Yes, subscribe on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All the podcasts you can download wherever you get your podcasts. Apple. Is that you just hold the thumb up? What the fuck? I'm an idiot. All right, that's it. I'm done here. Have a good night. Go White Sox. Maybe one day.